Hey y'all, happy Sunday and welcome to this week's live Q&A session. This is the portion of the show where we allow YouTube to send out notifications that we're going live. If you're watching this live Q&A on replay, please scrub ahead until this graphic disappears and the actual show begins. If you're watching live and you have any comments or questions, please go ahead and put them in the live chat. But for now, grab a beverage, sit back, and relax while the countdown timer does its thing. Then we'll get started. Hey y'all, happy Sunday. Hope everybody is doing well. Oh man, it has been a week. It has really been a week. A lot of outdoor work. I haven't done a thing here in the shop. other than bring out a heater because we're getting into that time of year again. And I, for one, am not in a hurry for it. But, what can you say? Um, I guess the big news was Vectric's user group meeting. I believe it was Thursday and Friday, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. But first, I was so busy behind the scenes here, I didn't even get to say hello to my buddy Steve in the chat. Steve runs Harneal Media, the sponsor of Mark Lindsay CNC.com. And I know I talk about him all the time. That's because that's how much I believe in him. If you are looking to create or improve your web presence, there's no better way to do it than with your own website, where you can start getting away from using third-party services like Etsy and what have you, and start keeping more of your own money when you sell your projects. He can help you set up a web store. He can help you develop merch and go with a print-on-demand company, start selling T-shirts, baseball caps, things like that. There's a link to Harneal Media in every video on my channel. Very easy to find, and a few of you have already talked to him about it. You know what I'm talking about. He is the man. So check him out. The user group meeting. Oh man, that was something. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, every year Vectric holds 2 user group meetings. One in the UK at their headquarters, and the other in the US. Now, when I want to say it was 2020, when the pandemic hit and international travel was not a thing, uh, they experimented with an online worldwide user group meeting, they called it. And it was a resounding success. Folks absolutely loved it. Of course, it's not the same as being there in person. And so what they decided to do is they're going to come to the US every other year and then run an online user group meeting in the years they don't come to the US. So that's what they did this year as well. It was held again Thursday and Friday of last week, and it was a lot of fun. Now, I've put a link in the description of this live stream to the user group meeting website. And this was live Thursday and Friday, but now all of the videos are up on both this user group meeting page. You just come over here to schedule, and we're on day 1, and here are all of the videos. These were live streams that took place over the course of the user group meeting. Now, if you watch through this portal, you just click down here. It'll be either watch or watch again if you've already watched. You can click through to this portal and you'll see the live chat that was going on during the live stream as it happened. If you don't want to, you don't have to register. You don't have to sign up for anything. I'm not logged in or anything. You can just go and watch. And the link again is down in the description of this live stream right now. For day 2, we come over here to day 2, and here are all of the other presentations that were done on day 2. There's some great tips and tricks in these videos. There were some, the finishing techniques by Michael Tyler, that alone was worth the price of entry. Oh man, it was really good. And then V-carve inlays, etc., etc. If you're not one to jump over onto a site like this and you would prefer to stay on YouTube, they've got you covered there as well. You just go over to Vectric's YouTube channel and come down here to playlists. And right here is a playlist of all 19 of the presentations. That's on the YouTube side. You will not see the live chat that we had during the presentation, but you'll get to see the comments, etc., that YouTube viewers have checked out. They have some of them over on their videos page, a couple of them, but and they have over on their live page, all of them are there as well. But the best way to get into it is to jump right over here into playlists and go right over to the uh, user group meeting playlist, click on view full playlist, and there are all the presentations in order from start to finish. And it's really worth your time. There were some long presentations. There were some short presentations. I believe the shortest one was 20 minutes, and the longest one was an hour and a half. But believe me when I say that was well worth the time. There were too many tips and tricks to get into, too many to remember. And I'm very happy that they made this available over on the YouTube side so we can keep going, going back and referring to them. You'll also notice on the playlists, they have the 2021 user group meeting. 2022 was live in San Diego. And just there's the 2020 user group meeting. I mean, just more playlists than you can handle, believe me. But again, well worth your time. So that was the big thing. The the information passed on in those presentations was just mind blowing. I mean, I've been using the software for 8 years, and I learned stuff that other people knew just right off the top of their head. I had no clue. All right. So, enough ranting and raving about that. Let's get into a few questions. And some of them pertain to the user group meeting, which I kind of figured would happen. Vortex 8 wants to know, has anyone had success cutting cork on the CNC machine? Now, that's going to depend on if the cork is mounted to a substrate. If you have already used contact cement or what have you, and you've glued it to a substrate, then you can machine it just like anything else. Be careful with feeds and speeds. You might want to start conservative, then work your way up to something faster, if depending upon how long the project is going to take. But it should machine just like anything else. Having said that, conventional cut, don't climb cut. And the same holds true with foam. Conventional cut, don't climb cut. You'll get a much smoother finish. If your cork is not mounted and you're just trying to cut out the cork so you can glue onto something else, or let's say it's a thin cork that you're going to, I don't know, cover something with, um, a drag knife would be a better way to go. And this is why this dovetails in with the Vectric user group meeting. I believe it was George von Driska. I may be wrong. Looking over at the user group meeting, he did a presentation on cutting leather with a drag knife. And that was on it looks like it was on day one. Yes, George Von Driska did the presentation on day one, cutting leather with a drag knife. That should be all, I won't say identical because densities of the material are a little bit different, but that would be the way to go. That's how I would look for it, or look at it rather. That's how I would approach it. So if you didn't see that video, again, get into that playlist that is linked down in the description of this live stream, or get into the Vectric user group meeting 2023, and you'll see that video on cutting leather. It's not identical, but it should be very, very similar. Having said that, a drag knife can be kind of pricey. I know there are 3D printed versions on Thingiverse and things of that nature. Uh, but it's real important that that drag knife be able to pivot at a moment's notice. And you'll want to get in and play with it and learn the tool, learn your feed rates and what have you. There are no speeds because the spindle doesn't come on. And you don't turn your router on when you're using a drag knife. But it should be similar enough to where it'll help you out. So, let's see here. What is next? Let's see. Brooks Martin wants to know, and this also gets into the Vectric user group meeting. The tip that Becky showed on the multi-sided machining to display the model thickness in the preview window by holding down the control key and moving the cursor. Is that only a two-sided project thing? Or am I missing something? The short answer is that is a two-sided project thing. Uh, it's more important on a two-sided project that you know the total thickness um, of that model so you don't carve into the backside, or so you don't have two competing models carving into one another. All right. Um, let's see here. Um, it's less important when you're doing a single-sided job. Now, let's go over here and let's demonstrate this. When you're doing a single-sided job, you have your model thickness. Look at my readouts down here. Z will appear right there. When you're doing a single-sided job, your model thickness is basically the Z position. Okay. Um, and if I go into the 3D view and I hold my cursor over it, that's um, that's your Z position. Okay. Now, if I hold down the control key, nothing happens. All right. The way to find your model thickness is to go over into the toolpath tab, go into material setup, and your model thickness is right here. In this case, it's 0.7084. This is a thick model. You can click here and you can change that thickness right there. Now, this is on a single-sided job, remember? But your model thickness is right there. So, yeah, it's good to see you, Ayal. Good to see you. So, what Brooks was referring to, let me go back over here to the 2D view. If you go into job setup, whoops. Oh, it's already open on the toolpaths tab. Let me close that. If I come back over here to job setup and I make this a double-sided job, and click OK. It's going to create the second side for me and everything. Now, if I come over here in the 3D view and I put my cursor right here, I still have my Z readout down here. But now if I hold the control button, now come on, select it. If I hold the control button and click, that's showing me the thickness of the model. Okay, my model thickness is 0.4957. All right. So that gives me the thickness of this model. So, and it just depends on where I put my cursor. It's showing me how thick the model is at various locations around the model, but it doesn't give me the the total thickness. Okay. But this gives me a way to get in here and look to see how thick this is at a certain point. So I know if I'm going to run into something on the other side or not. Now, I'm holding down control to get my thickness here. If you'll notice, the thickest points on this model is right here on these bumper bolts. So again, this doesn't give me the total thickness. It just gives me the thickness in specific areas. Okay. That's more important on a two-sided job than it ever will be on a single-sided job. And it's a heck of a lot easier to control as well. Now, this is a large model. I mean, the size is that's 8x7, so it's not all that big actually when I think about it. I could adjust the height and the base height and the total thickness over here. Bring that down some. There we go. But still, it is useful when you're trying to figure out exactly how thick this model is and you're concerned about it as far as something on the other side. It's not as important on a two-sided job. So, okay, I hope that answers that. Let's see. Go Sign Go has a very in-depth question. How do you do a double-sided panel? I cannot answer that in one phrase. I can't answer that right here, right now. What I can tell you is I have not done it yet. I will put a link to a playlist on two-sided machining. I've done several videos on it. It's more involved than I can get right here, right now. But it's not as difficult as you think. There are some serious considerations that you need to make, and a few things to watch out for. But fair warning, it's addictive as heck. Once you do your first one, you'll come up with excuses to do double-sided projects, believe me. So I will link that. I've already made a note. I will link that playlist in the description of this live stream as soon as I'm done. And you can check it out at your leisure. I do several software videos, but I also go out into the shop and I actually carve these projects so you can see what's going on rather. Okay, let's see here. No, you cannot add pictures here. No, you can't. I'm sorry. You can't add pictures. You can't add links. Nobody can add pictures on in a YouTube chat. Sorry. Okay, let's see here. Wade says, "Can we watch you mess up your shop cutting styrofoam?" Yeah, that you've noticed I've got three pieces of that rigid styrofoam insulation right there. Styrofoam is a brand name, by the way. This is XPS, extruded polystyrene, for those of you who want to make friends and influence people. Yeah, I'm going to start playing around with it, experimenting on it, and eventually get into a video. So, but no, I'm not going to just dive in head first, and start messing up live. You got to wait. And yes, oh man, I can't wait. Yes, cutting foam is a lesson in dust collection and grounding your dust collector. Now, when you say grounding your dust collection hoses, people automatically roll their eyes. And for good reason, it just depends on what you're talking about here. Will not be grounding my dust collection for any type of explosion prevention. Dust explosions are a very real thing. Ask anybody in the Midwest who's around farm country, and they will let you know, yes, it's a very real thing. Conditions have to be pretty much perfect for it to happen. And the odds of that happening in a home hobby CNC environment are pretty slim. The odds go up when you get into production, but still pretty low. Wade has it right here. Mine is grounded just to cut the static. That's what I'm going to be doing it for. It's to give that static electricity a place to go before it builds up to the point that it can arc. It also helps things like little bits of this styrofoam keep from clinging to everything in your area. In fact, I'll give you one a little bit further. When I was in upholstery and we had to use sanders and grinders to shape foam on seat bases and things like that, we would actually ground ourselves to a grounding rod in the built into the shop. I'm sure you've seen computer repairmen wear a little wrist strap that has a wire and an alligator clip to ground themselves to keep from, just static from walking across the carpet, keep from zapping a PC board or a circuit chip or something like that. We would do the same thing. We would ground ourselves so that we didn't build up the static from sanding foam didn't build up and everything just stick to you. So that's why I'll be grounding the dust collection system. I should have had it done already, and mea culpa, I haven't gotten it finished. But yeah, there will be some foam videos coming later on. Fingers crossed, hoping everything goes well. Another reason for grounding dust collection is so you don't get crosstalk or arcing into like data cables or uh, power cables or anything like that. Um, there are people who have had problems in the past, especially running shop vacs for dust collection, and occasionally they will have problems with the machine just stops moving, and that's crosstalk from static getting into power or data cables, and just everything stops. So um, that's another reason for grounding. Let's see. Tim Keller wants to know, my design and make models never loaded. Is there an easy way to load them? And where do I save them if I have to save them myself? Tim, if this is in reference to the design and make models that were part of the bundle you got for the user group meeting, Then let me bring them up here. What you'll get is a folder, 2023 UGM bundle. And if you look, these are all the files in this folder. These are all the files for the projects, the various projects. These are the installer for the clip art. They are exe files. You download the bundle, and then remember where you downloaded that folder to, and then you will click on you'll double click the installer, and it will install all of that clip art. Okay, to include the models, any vectors, things like that. So you'll just double click that exe file and it will automatically install it in the correct location. I've already done so. In fact, that pickup is one of the pieces of clip art. We have here, it'll go in your design and make folder here on your clip art. Was Autumn Fun #1, UG 2023, and then the other clip art pack that goes with it. So, and there are various pieces of clip art that are exclusive to the 2023 user group meeting. Now, that software, this clip art bundle and all of the files, I want to say was $59, something like that. Tim is asking, can I just save it in my documents? You certainly can. You can save it anywhere you want to save it. I put it in my downloads folder. So if I go to downloads, there it is right there. So, but you put it wherever you want to put it. So it's just like any other file that you download. Put it where you want it, remember where you put it, and then open it up and hit those two exe files. So hope that answers the question there, Tim. Okay, Laser 314 says, any tips for making a spiral vector in V-carve? Do you already have a video about it? No, I do not. I've not had occasion to need a spiral, but that's not to say that I won't. Now, you said in V-carve, do you have V-carve Desktop or V-carve Pro? Because I'm going to go ahead and delete that pickup. I don't need it now. If you're using VCarve Pro, there is a gadget, and I don't have it. Yep, I'm going to have to go get the spiral gadget. There is a spiral gadget made for VCarve Pro. Now, VCarve Desktop does not have gadget support, so you won't even have this menu up here. But for VCarve Pro, if I'm going to guess, I'll track it down for you, and I'll put a link. Let's see. Spiral gadget. I'm going to go out on a limb and guess Paul Roundtree has probably made that gadget, but I'm not certain it's him. I will track it down and I'll put a link to it down here in the description as soon as we're finished. I'm not, I've made a note to myself. I'll track it down and then you would just install it like you would any other gadget. And there should be instructions on how to install it right there on the page that you download it from. But one would think that there would be here in Create Vectors, there would be an icon for you to create a spiral. I mean, there are lots of uses for them. It's just they haven't done it. So, in fact, write a note to Vectric support. They are always looking for improvements that they can make to the software. So write them a little note. And in fact, everybody write them a little note, because you know how it is. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. And the more people request, the more likely they are to make that improvement or that change. So Thomas Grimm says Lainey Shaughnessy did a very nice modeling show that uses the spiral gadgets. I will go find that. I will go find that, Thomas. Thank you for it. Lainey runs a tidy little YouTube channel called Spindle TV. And if you're not subscribed to Laney over there on Spindle TV, number one, shame on you. Number two, get over there and do it. I will also link his channel. In fact, I might already have Laney's channel. No, I don't. I need to start doing that. I will start linking Laney's channel in as a permanent link in the descriptions for these live streams. Um, Laney's got a lot of very cool videos, very cool live streams. Daryl says the spiral gadget is under wrapping. Oh, okay. Well, let's look. Let's look. Oops, wrong. I need to bring that back. I don't use the wrapping gadget. Spiral layout. Okay, that's for rotary. That spiral is for rotary. Okay. Flat spiral is, I'm assuming, what you're talking about there, Laser. If you are going to be using, if you're creating a rotary gadget, then this is different. Okay. That's why I didn't know to look at wrapping. But there is a dedicated gadget for creating a flat spiral out here. Select the size and the gap between. So, but thank you for that, Daryl. I do appreciate that. I don't get into gadgets a lot, and I really should. But I don't get into gadgets a lot because a lot of people don't have VCarve Pro. They use VCarve Desktop because they're on smaller machines. And I try to make videos that show how the most people can use something. That's why I don't use gadgets a lot. I show you how to, for instance, my keyhole slot video. Yes, there is a keyhole gadget. But what if you've got VCarve Desktop? You can't use that. So I came with a workaround so that you can create your own keyhole slot without needing VCarve Pro and that gadget support. But I do need to get into gadgets a heck of a lot more often here. And maybe I'll start doing that in the future. So let's see. Okay. If anybody has any questions at all, please, by all means, go ahead and put them in the chat over there. And I don't know if I missed any or not, but I'm trying to keep up. Vortex 8 says, I'm currently using a Festool vacuum with the roughly 2.5-inch gray hose. Should I wrap it with wire on the outside to help with static? I would get a hold of Festool and ask them how best to ground the hose for static on your CNC router. You do not want to void any warranties by making any modifications that might void the warranty, especially on something that's that expensive. So I would talk to them first before doing anything like that. So let's see here. Bill Zowak says, is adding new external air as simple as removing stock air from the rear port and plugging in new air? Of course, with all the right equipment along the line. Boy, what an amazing change this has made. I'm not sure I'm following you. Um, I'm not sure I'm following you. So if you could kind of elaborate, let me know what you're talking about. Daryl wants to know what might be your first foam project. Eventually, what I want to do is make some outdoor things, a dress sign, um, and some fence art for my wife, basically. I have visions of making like a 2-inch thick, 2-foot diameter barn star to put up on my house. I think barn stars are cool. Don't ask me why. And making them out of this foam that can be sealed and waterproof using exterior house paint, I think is a better way to go than trying to figure out some sort of wood material to use. So I'm talking about painted projects where there's going to be no exposed wood, um, like a house sign where you or address sign where you need high contrast so it's visible from the street, things like that. I don't have a specific one in mind just yet, but you know, uh, all kinds of stuff. Kurt Briegel says Festool does make an anti-static hose. I suggest contacting your dealer or Festool for details. There's the answer. There you go. There you go. But yeah, Festool tools are so expensive that I would hate like heck for somebody uh, to ruin a machine and it be out of warranty because you made a modification. So it's yeah, I'd hate like heck to do that, especially if it was on my recommendation. That's why I don't recommend a lot of things. So let's see. All right, Percy Cooka says, usually the carving time shown on the system and the actual time is close. For a recent job, the actual carving time is 2 times more than what's shown on the system. Could there be a problem? No, there could be various factors involved. And what Percy is talking about is over here in your toolpath summary. And now I don't have any toolpaths created, but if you look up here, we have a total machining time based on your rapid rate and on a scale factor. When it calculates, when it does the toolpath summary and calculates the toolpaths. Oh, I'm not sharing. Thank you, Steve. Talking about over here on, see, man, Steve is on the ball. Uh, I don't have any toolpaths calculated. We come up here to toolpath summary. And because I don't have any toolpaths, I've got an estimated time of 0. It estimates based on the feed rate you have for your tools, as well as a rapid rate, which is how fast your tool moves from point A to point B before it plunges in and starts cutting. And as well as a scale factor down here. Now, all it can give you is its best guessed estimate. If you make any changes on the fly, like for instance, you want to speed up your feed rate or slow down your feed rate, these estimates go right out the window. They just forget it. But there also are other factors, other variables that could um, change things. Uh, I mean, everything from did somebody get in and make any changes in the control software? Um, did you speed up the feed rate? Did you slow down a feed rate? Did you change anything about the setup, either in the system side or out on the controller side? What you need to do to set this scale factor, and this is something that needs to be adjusted. Um, what I do is I take that estimate time, write it down. Then when I go out and I actually carve the thing, I write down the elapsed time that actually ran. And I'm using Mach 4. There is an elapsed time of how long it actually took to carve, how long the tool physically ran. And I will kind of compare and contrast. Um, and I'll get in here and select that tool path, and then I'll start applying scale factors. I'll start with 2 to 1. I'll go with the scale factor at 2. Well, if that doesn't bring those times closer together, I start adjusting. For my machine running on Mach 4, my scale factor is 1.2. So it was only that 0.2% it was off. And that brought those two times really close. Now, machined in wood has a excellent point, and that is lots of bit retracts can make a job take longer than that estimator guesses. Okay? So that is another factor. If your bit is lifting up a lot, that's going to throw things off as well. Personally, I don't even bother with these estimates over here. I really don't even bother because I'm a home hobbyist. It doesn't matter to me how long it takes. I'm more interested in the final project. So to me, the end result is more important than how long it takes. Now, Laser 314 says, I've not tested this theory, but I think the estimate does not take acceleration into account, and it assumes instantaneous speed and direction changes. That may very well be. I mean, it sounds as good as any other theory I've heard. And you're right, acceleration is a factor because your machine's not going to go from a dead stop to 180 inches per minute, at the speed of light. It's going to take a little bit of time. So, let's see here. Michael Mazalik says, how to determine the rapid rate. That's in your controller and the actual software that runs your CNC router. Now, I can't speak to any other control system except for Mach 3 and Mach 4, and they're both similar. In Mach 3, you get into, I don't have it running. It's not connected to a machine, so I can't help you with where this is located because I don't have anything entered into it. Config menu, and then down into motor tuning. And down in motor tuning will have the rapid rate. You set that rapid rate as to how fast your machine is going to move when the bit or tool is not in the material. Now, if you have if that was already set up for you, you can go into motor tuning and find that rapid rate. On my Avid CNC, it's 600 inches per minute. I can speed it up, but why? It's 4 foot by 4 foot. I'm not machining slabs and stuff like that. So it's a case of get in, and it's the same in Mach 4, get into motor tuning and your rapid rate is right there. And then you enter that over here, and your units of measure would be at inches per minute or millimeters per second or whatever you run in. That's where you enter it. And it takes that into account when it creates that toolpath summary. So, okay. Bill Zoak added, he clarified a little bit here. To add bigger air compressor to my thumber, do I simply remove the stock air 1/4-inch tube at the port in the rear of the laser and insert tubing? Okay, for that, right off the bat, I do not have a laser. Okay, get a hold of Thunder. All right, I assume you're talking about air assist. I do not have a laser, and I would be the wrong person to ask. Okay. I would hate like heck for you to blow something out by telling you, yeah, that you just insert new tubing from a new source. It would be easy for me to say that, but you don't want to hear that from me because I don't know what I'm talking about. The reason you may not understand my art question is probably because it's so simple for those that know. Well, that you could say the same thing about that. That's the same for anything. I don't know because I don't have a laser. So I don't have a laser yet. Film at 11. Yeah, I don't have. I'd like to get one, but I mean, look at my shop. I got no place to put one. So, I mean, what can I say? All right, do we have any other questions? Let me cruise up the chat here and see. Did I miss any more? Let's see here. Yeah, lots of comments on me cutting foam. Let's let me get up here. Mm. Now I'm gonna go out on another limb and think that RM here. Why is there no more shortcuts in Vectric? I'm going to go out on a limb and assume you are talking about keyboard shortcuts. That is a can of worms. Because if you go into your software and you go up here to help, the second topic is keyboard shortcuts. You click on that keyboard shortcuts link, and it's going to take you over here to a web browser. It's going to open up a web browser page. And look at all the keyboard shortcuts. There are more keyboard shortcuts here than probably anybody would be able to follow, let alone more than you want. So, yeah, there are a ton of keyboard shortcuts here for node editing, for moving objects, for rotating, for scaling, the polyline tool. I mean, drawing a circle. There are more keyboard shortcuts than you could ever want right there. These are the topics. So, I mean, fair warning, you could spend your life in here. And I don't know if anybody knows all of the keyboard shortcuts, but wow. So, Bill Zowak says, I watch you all the time because I also have an Avid 60 by 100. Okay, color me jealous. CNC, yeah. Besides the laser, and I got confused thinking you were also laser related. No, not anymore. You know, uh, I bought a little El Cheapo K40 laser a few years back, and I would have loved it, but it was so freight damaged, I ended up having to return it. And when they got it back, they said, yeah, there's no way you'd ever get this to focus. Um, so it was fine. Uh, and they refunded my money. Everything was great. But I had it just long enough to know that it was too small for what I wanted to do. And I don't have the room for a big one that for stuff that is big enough for me to want to do. So it's just, yeah, no, not now. So Best Man 12 NA says, when doing cuts, why is there two different cutting tools listed? Well, that depends on the cut that you're trying to do. Let me bring this back up and let's get into it. First, let's get a piece of geometry out here. Let's go about there. That's fine. And then I'll do another one right here. Close that, and let's move that down. In fact, I'm going to center this inside this, okay? And I'll come down here to alignment tools, and I want to center the object on the last selected object. So that puts this piece of geometry in the center of this. Now I want to center them both in the material. Okay. Now let's say I want to V-carve this. I want to V-carve all this out here. And to do that, I'm going to create a V-carve toolpath. I'm going to cut to a flat depth of 0.1. And this is where the second tool comes in. I'm going to use a clearance tool because I don't want my 90-degree V-bit to clear all this out. That would take forever. Okay. So I'm going to use a clearance tool. And I'll select that clearance tool. I'm going to cheat and use my 1/2-inch end mill. I'll select that. And we'll do offset because it's round. And we'll calculate. So it made two tool paths, one for that 1/2-inch bit and one for the V bit. That's why you get two cutting tools listed. Now, if that's not what you meant, if you meant, let's say, let's go back into the V-carve toolpath. I go to select the bit. I only have ball nose, V-bits, engraving bits, and tapered ball nose bits listed because those are the types of bits that you would use with this toolpath. None of my form tools are listed. None of my surfacing tools are listed because I wouldn't use those tools with a V-carve toolpath. Okay. Let me close this. Close this. Now I'll just go into my tool database and you'll see I've got thread milling tools. I've got form tools. I have specialist tools like a diamond drag bit. I've got drills. I've got surfacing tool. None of those will come up in the when I'm selecting a tool for a V-carve toolpath because you don't use those bits in a V-carve toolpath. So that's answers to two questions in one, and I hope I got the one that you were asking. So let's see. Let's play around with this a little bit. I got my V-carve toolpath selected. I'm going to change the toolpath color to black and the clearance pass to black. I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to change this to red just because. And we'll preview all toolpaths. There we go. So my half-inch bit cleared all of this out, and then my V-bit came around and did that tapered cut on the edge. Just me. I do this with all V-carve toolpaths. When I go outside to actually carve, I always run my V-bit first. I will always get a better finish when I'm cutting this V-groove into the material. That way, let me reset. If I do this one first, and I'll turn that color off. Let's make that no fill. Now I've got this little edge to follow with the V-bit. The V-bit will follow that edge. That's not a problem. But I have more opportunity and more potential for chip out because there's nothing to support that edge. This is especially true if you're cutting something like, let me bring that back. This is especially true if you're cutting something like this pirate. I've got all these fine little edges that are going to stand out, and that V-bit has to go right along that edge. The potential to break something and send it flying across the room is very high because it's a thin ridge that V-bit's going to cut. So by cutting the V-bit first, I have all the rest of that material there supporting that edge. So hope that answers that question. Tom Miller says, Angry Birds Builds. I think you mean Andy Birds Builds. Just did a YouTube video on the new 15-watt laser that mounts on an existing Avid CNC's gantry. That is a cool laser system. Again, film at 11. Okay, I've gone over an hour here. I need to go ahead and wrap this up. As usual, if you have any comments, questions, concerns, feel free to comment down here in the comment section now that we're wrapping up the live stream for those of you who are watching on replay. Again, I'd like to reiterate that my buddy Steve Nealon over at Harneal Media is your best bet for creating a website. Oh, wait, another little bit of house cleaning I forgot totally about. I ran a poll for the last week on my community tab, and about 100 of you participated. Thank you very, very much for participating in that poll. The poll was on whether or not I should do more videos on how to do YouTube videos or run a YouTube channel. Overwhelmingly, the feedback was positive. 25% of you said, no, not at all. I'm just here for the CNC stuff. So that means I've decided, yes, I'm going to be doing a few more YouTube live streams. These will not interrupt our regular schedule at all. I will continue to post videos on Sunday mornings. I will continue to do weekly live Q&As, and I will find an evening where I'm not stepping on somebody else's toes, and we'll have a YouTube live stream maybe once a month. I'm not thinking about doing this on a regular basis. It'll just be a kind of a thing from for every once in a while for those who are interested. Um, don't burn yourself out. I have no plans on it. This is fun for me. It really is. This is a lot of fun. I enjoy this. I enjoy hanging with you guys. I enjoy answering questions. I enjoy just chatting and BSing. And on that note, and Jim Brown, I got your question. We'll get to it in just a second. On that note, from here, I'm going to jump over to my friend John Cousins, his live stream. What if I could scroll? He's doing some scroll saw projects that are very cool. He's about done with that wedding sign. It's about 6 layers that he's working on that, and as well as a portrait. And yes, auto redirect is enabled. So if you just stick here, you will be automatically redirected to his channel, to his live stream that's going on right now. And I'll be joining in just a couple of minutes after I add these links. Um, but so, yeah, I will be doing more videos on YouTube. Now, Jim asked, is Align Objects only for Aspire? No, it's not. If you come back over here to your drawing tab, you see you have transform objects, right? Over here, you click on align selected uh, vectors or objects, come all the way down to the bottom, and there's a blank that says show common tools on the drawing tab. If you click, put a check mark in that box and then close it, it will insert this align objects and put the most commonly used icons right there. That's for VCarve Desktop, VCarve Pro, and Aspire. I believe it's also Cut 2D, but I'm not 100% certain. So no, this is not Aspire only. Again, just go up here under Transform Objects to align selected objects. Go all the way down to the bottom and put a check mark in Show Common Tools on the Drawing tab. Okay? And then it'll create that category, and there they are. All right. So, having said all that, next week I'm not sure. What I've got. I may have a video. I may not have a video. I've got 2 non-CNC projects going right now that I've got to get finished up. Now that I've got new shrubs and bushes planted outside. Go do watch the videos from the 2023 user group meeting. Well worth your time, whether you purchase the user group bundle or not. The videos are well worth your time. You'll get a lot of good information out of them. Other than that, I'm just going to say see you over on John's live stream. Those of you who follow over. For those of you who don't follow over, y'all take care. I'll see you next week. Have a good one.